3 months after Charlie Kirk's assassination, Candace Owens accused his widow of covering up his murder. When Erika Kirk sat down with journalist Barry Weiss for a town hall, what she would say to Candace after months of brutal accusations seemed designed to shut down all questions. But here's the thing. Both of these women are acting strange, and maybe we should be asking, what's up with that? I'm Lauren Paritra. Subscribe because it takes all of us to combat this cray-cray. Send us a hype, turn notifications on. Okay. So on September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University. They arrested Tyler Robinson like a day and a half later. The evidence looked pretty solid. There was surveillance footage, palm prints. They found the weapon he ditched somewhere nearby. He got charged with aggravated murder, and prosecutors said they're going for the death penalty. But Candace Owens, she was pissed. She started with fairly reasonable questions about security failures. Then she pivoted hard and started saying that Israel had orchestrated the hit because Kirk was questioning Gaza and Gaza policy, and that billionaire Bill Ackman had staged an intervention and made threats. And then French President Macron authorized a hit squad. Then it was the US military that was involved, and eventually she went full throttle into saying Turning Point USA was hiding something. Candace insists that Erika Kirk and her team knew what happened. And look, Candace may have gone a little bit off the deep end with some of this stuff, but then in mid-November, she dropped what she called her biggest evidence bomb yet, Operation Mocking Plane. So here's what she claimed. Candace said her team of sleuths, her word, not mine, had been tracking flight manifests and transponder data, and that they found specific aircrafts that allegedly crossed paths with Charlie and Erika Kirk's travel 68 times. Then she corrected herself, actually 73 times between 2022 and September 2025. Out of those instances, 73 instances, 29 supposedly included Charlie being present too. Then she got really specific. She said that these planes had been turned on and transponding. That's like means broadcasting their location on the morning of Charlie's assassination. And then again, minutes after he was shot. She put up spreadsheets showing all these alleged overlaps, including international travel. She said this pattern is statistically not random. And her conclusion? Someone had been tracking Charlie Kirk for years using aircraft surveillance. And Turning Point USA knew about it. But there's my mouth tape. She called, and Turning Point USA was saying silent. And she called this lies by severe omission. Now, look, I'm not an aviation expert or a statistician, but this felt like a huge reach, a huge leap. Flight patterns overlap all the time, specifically for people who travel constantly for work. Charlie was on the road nonstop for Turning Point's events, and Erika travels with him and for the organization. Are we really supposed to believe somebody was using planes to track them? And if they were, why would the planes be broadcasting their transponders if this was like supposed to be covert surveillance? I don't know. That part doesn't really make much sense to me. And here's the thing. Each episode was pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars in AdSense revenue. Her podcast climbed to number 10 on Spotify. The more outrageous the theory, the bigger the audience. So yeah, there's clearly a little bit of a financial incentive here, but Erika's response has been equally bizarre. For 3 months, she stayed silent on all this while Candace built a conspiracy empire on her husband's death. Then suddenly Erika started making the rounds, interview after interview after interview. And look, I'll just say it, putting her out there like this, it feels like not the move. Erika comes off really inauthentic in all these appearances. Something feels off. It feels weird. All of us feel weird. Just look at the reaction online. So why the media blitz now? Why like full foot on the gas? Why not earlier or later? Like the timing is weird. And during each of these appearances, she dropped some sort of bombshell that honestly made everyone be like, what is going on? And usually for the wrong reason.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered. They're coming after me. Someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
So get this. Erika still has Charlie Kirk's phone. She claims she personally examined it and found no evidence of threats. What? Why? Like, shouldn't the FBI or somebody else be in charge of this? I know it's Kash Patel's FBI and like whatever, but allowing a widow to retain a key piece of evidence in an ongoing murder investigation feels kind of like not the move. Why hasn't the phone been seized as part of the criminal case investigation against Tyler Robinson? I don't know. This just doesn't feel normal. This isn't usually, somebody who watches a lot of true crime and not an investigator, this just doesn't feel like it's normal how murder investigations would work. Somebody, like, make it make sense, because either the FBI is incompetent, which is, we know, true, or something else is going on here. And then exactly 3 months after the assassination, Erika sat down with Barry Weiss. And before we get into what happened, we need to talk about the promo.
I just sat down for an hour with Erika Kirk and we talked about everything. We talked about what was going through her head when she stood on that stage and forgave her husband's alleged murderer. We talked about all of the conspiracies surrounding his assassination. And of course, we talked about grief, political violence, and so much more. Watch this Saturday night on CBS at 8 p.m.
Matt 14, or Matt XIV, I don't know how they say it, said it best on Twitter. Horrible politics aside, Barry Weiss really does have the charisma of a dried lemon. This awkward walking promo where she claims that they talked about everything is very cringe, because they definitely softballed back and forth from everything we've seen so far. And then in the actual sit down, Erika didn't even name Candace directly. Neither of them did, but everyone knew who she was talking about. So like, why volley around? She called out the people making money by accusing those Charlie loved. She held up his posthumous book title, Stop in the Name of God, and stared into the camera, which fine, but also, you're doing a media tour, babe. You're using this interview as a platform. So the whole leave me alone thing feels a little bit hollow. And Candace responded within hours, dismissing Erika's plea and accusing her of Meghan Markle syndrome, which means you want privacy whenever it's convenient and you want publicity when it's useful. She said none of this is passing the vibe check. And she really said yes, vibe check. And honestly, that specific criticism isn't entirely wrong, if you ask me. And this is the part that everyone's been talking about.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies, and she is making a huge amount of money on it. She is building her business off of these lies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now?
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
Barry Weiss confronted what everyone could see. Candace was building her business through really elevating her business, I'll say, because she had it established before then for better or worse, but she was really kind of capitalizing on this moment of Charlie's death. So was Erika. And when Barry asked Erika, what would you say to Candace Owens, but like without saying even Candace Owens, Erika gave a one-word answer. And that was supposed to be devastating, but honestly, it just felt like a conversation ender, like something you say when you just want to shut down any legitimate questions or conversation or something that would, an exchange that would go back and forth. Oh, and remember when the Charlie Kirk show challenged Candace to an in-person debate in Phoenix? She'd been saying, pick the place, pick the time. So they picked December 15th, and she backed out, citing scheduling conflicts and childcare. Her defender said Turning Point USA was unreasonable, expecting her to show up 10 days before Christmas. Critics point out that Erika Kirk has kids and a dead husband, and Candace absolutely should have shown up. That was weak. And look, people go on the right and start turning on her hard, but will Chamberlain straight up call her out? He called her the single most evil person in the vicinity of the right. And Alex Clark from Turning Point USA said her theories were psychosis and QAnon level mind rot. I'm not joking. Some people genuinely suggested she might be experiencing demonic oppression. But did Owens stop? Nope. There was more theories, more episodes, more money. Here's where I land. Candace Owens is clearly exploiting this and capitalizing on it for clicks and cash. Some of her theories are unhinged, but like, does that mean we should stop asking questions about like why Erika Kirk has her dead husband's phone in an active murder investigation and why she's saying it so blasé? Why the security was so lax that day? Why Turning Point USA's response has been so coordinated and media trained and like robotic? I don't think so. Asking questions isn't the same as accusing somebody of murder, and shutting it all down and shutting all the scrutiny down because Candace went too far doesn't really help anyone find the truth. Both of these women are acting a little off, and maybe that's the real story. We've got some receipts coming next. Again, I am Lauren Paritra. I am Lauren P, spelled like Lorena, across all socials. Hit subscribe because the story keeps getting weirder and more sideways, and I'm gonna help keep track of it all. So turn those notifications on. Trust me.